Inuvik acknowledges that we are located on the traditional lands of the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit people of the Northwest Territories. We're grateful to be allowed the opportunity to learn, work, and live on Treaty 11 lands within the Gwich'in settlement area and the lands of the Inuvialuit. I did have another item I'd like to just speak to under this section. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the recent loss of former Councillor Vince Sharp. Vince was a long-time and lifetime honorary member and supporter of the Inuvik Fire Department and the Inuvik Firefighters Association. His dedication and generosity provided equipment and support to members of the department over the years. Some of us had experience of sitting around this table with Vince, witnessing his passion for Inuvik and its people. And on behalf of Mayor and Town Council, I send condolences to Vince Sharp's family and best wishes as they adjust to his absence. Rest well, Vince.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thirdly, just in this opening section, disregard that comment. All right, going on to the adoption of the agenda, we will have two additions this evening. Item 10.6.5 will be the infrastructure update, and 10.6 will be the finance update. Any other additions or anything to the agenda? Seeing none. Moving on to declaration of conflict of interest with pecuniary interest. Do we have any declarations this evening? Seeing none. Thank you. Delegations, presentations, or petitions. We do have representatives from Children's First Center here this evening. So I'd like to welcome Patricia Davidson, Jasmine Brewster, and Nadine Wagner to come to the mic if they so choose to give their presentation. Just a reminder, there is 10 minutes for presentation followed by questions from council. And so the microphone is yours.
Thank you. Okay, a little bit of a hoarse throat tonight. It's just from talking to children all day. It's not contagious. So, good evening, honorable, I was going to say honorable mayor, but
Deputy Mayor.
thank you. And council, it's been a long day. Tonight we have Children First Board of Directors co-chair Nadine Wagner and Jasmine Brewster with me this evening. And as most of you know, I'm Patricia Davidson, the Executive Director of Children First. We last updated in June of 2023. And on September 26th, the society held their annual general meeting. Sorry, I need some more.
I'll keep going. We have a new board. As she said, Jasmine and I are the co-chairs. Dave Christie is our secretary. Jasmine's our treasurer, and Director Aaron McDonald, town rep Whitney Alexis, and GTC rep Michelle Wright.
Thanks, Nadine. So the Children First Center opened in 2013 after many years of hard work by our volunteers, community members, and the local businesses. And many of you were on that journey with us. The center is licensed for 127 children and has 6 program rooms. One of those rooms is used by the Aboriginal Head Start, and one is used by the GTC Language Immersion Program. As of now, we have full staff to accommodate 86 spaces. We have 86 children enrolled. That does not include the Aboriginal Head Start program. We have 3 unfilled positions of full-time staff. These unfilled positions include the office manager and the outreach program coordinator. We have a wait list of about 60 children. We do not have space to accommodate all the children needing early learning and childcare. Just last week, the GNWT and federal government announced that they are set to reach an average of $110 a day for regulated childcare spaces by April 1st as part of the early learning and care agreement in the NWT. Programs across the north that do not charge family fees were used to calculate that average. As you can imagine, the programs that charge family fees still need to charge above the $10 a day. Children First just received their funding amounts from the GNWT for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Our understanding is that the support from the GNWT for lesson fees will not change substantially. So we'll be charging a monthly fee of over $700 for infants, around $600 for preschool children, and that's per month. Our budget continues to be in a deficit. We accessed our contingency funds this year to keep the doors open. We continue to work with the Department of EC&E to fill the gaps in expenses versus revenue. With ECE managing the rate at which we can raise program fees and revenues from families and not covering the gap inflation has created, it's become more difficult to sustain the program. As some of you may remember, in 2015, Children First Society raised the program fees substantially. We had not raised program fees since then until 2022. At that time, the GNWT, Department of Education, Culture, and Employment, put a 2% cap on the amount program fees could be raised. This year, the cap was 2 to 6%, depending on the total full-time 22-23 fee rates being charged by the program for infant and preschool spaces, and by a flat rate of $10 per month for the out-of-school program. Our biggest challenge is staff retention. In 2022-23, we made a significant raise in staff wages to attempt to increase staff retention. We've succeeded in attracting more staff. However, the wage is still not at a community comparable rate. When early childhood development employees are compensated fairly, we can ensure our center can stay open with educated and qualified employees. Right now, we're in competition with the school and other governments and municipal job opportunities because they can afford to pay more and offer benefits. Staff can walk across the street and make more money and have better benefits. It's hard to compete with the government on wages. Staff now make between $22 and $35 an hour, depending on their experience in education. This includes people with certificates, diplomas, and degrees. This is not enough money to support a family in Inuvik. This year, we closed the school age program for a day due to lack of staff. We were close to closing program rooms on other days as well. For this winter, we had 8 staff taking early childhood courses through Aurora College long distance program. This fall, 5 will be working on their diploma and 5 will be working on their certificate. It's a struggle to find ways to pay for the courses in educational development. Some have applied for student finance and under their beneficiary organization, but there have been barriers to success. Children First tries to support the staff in every way that we can. The outreach program continues to run. Staffing for the programs remain unfilled, which impacts the number of activities we're able to implement. The Kids in the Kitchen in the Home remains our most popular program. On the land activities are done on a regular basis. This week, we have a series of winter on the land camps. Each group from 2 years up to the school age program have a trip on the land for the day. This is funded through special funding from the NWT on the land collaboration. Last summer, heat and poor air quality had an impact on our on the land program. However, we were able to implement a late summer boat trip for each group out on the land for the day, and the younger children also had an additional day out in the fall to check fish nets and enjoy some stories with elders. Their program is play-based and has had much success. The children are observing traditional skills from elders and traditional knowledge holders. Then they have opportunity to practice the skills in their play and interactions with their peers and families. We will continue the land opportunities for these groups into the summer. The Gwich'in Tribal Council has a Gwich'in language immersion program in our building. Both GTC and Makeway Foundation have contributed to the success of the Gwich'in language immersion program. The second cohort of 8 children started in 2021 from 18 months of age. Using what we learned in this first session, we've strengthened the program and give children a rich language and cultural experience. This cohort is ready to graduate to East 3 secondary in the fall. The children are well on their way.
Let's graduate to Easter Elementary.
Oh, elementary, sorry,
Yeah.
slip of the
That's a big
tongue.
jump.
Yeah, they're really progressing. The children are well on their way to solid Gwich'in language base, speaking phrases throughout their day and in their play on their own. The Aboriginal Head Start is in our building as well. Children First Society continues an agreement with the IRC for the Aboriginal Head Start program. Not only does the Aboriginal Head Start program occupy a room, an office, they also have access to our nutrition program, all the materials and equipment, as well as some of the land experiences. We've had some building challenges. The building is in its 11th year of programming. The loan from the town of Inuvik is almost paid off, and we anticipate it will be paid back in full this year. We're looking to renegotiate the monthly fee paid to reflect the finalization of this loan payment. To lessen this expenditure would help the program be more sustainable. Flooring. The flooring has had many repairs over the past 6 years. As the building shifts, the floor separates, peels, and then does not follow environmental health mandate of a sealed washable surface. We've started working with the town of Inuvik infrastructure staff to implement a long-term solution. Children First has access to some early learning and childcare infrastructure funding that may help with the cost of flooring replacement. GTC is also seeking repair and renovation funds to help with this cost. Some other building issues we've had is condensation and mold. Over the past few years, what we believe is condensation issue has persisted in the building, particular areas of the building have had water running down the walls. One office area has had a persistent water issue causing an environmental health issue. The town of Inuvik had the wall dried and repaired by a contractor twice. Another issue is the kitchen cabinetry. We run a commercial kitchen. We've served 9,127 breakfasts, 14,000 lunches, 19,258 snacks this fiscal year to the end of January. This includes our in-house and outreach programs. The kitchen cupboards are made of press board. This does not stand up well in a commercial kitchen. The steam and dampness, then the dry conditions lead to the warping and peeling. The surfaces are no longer sealed and washable that would follow environmental health protocols. We're looking at funding to replace the cabinetry with stainless steel commercial fixtures that would stand up to the use of a commercial kitchen. All of these projects, Children First will access as much early learning and childcare infrastructure and health and safety funding as possible to implement solutions. In a meeting with the new infrastructure staff, they have agreed to have a professional assessment of the building to ensure that these issues are resolved in the best possible way. It is a great relief to have a strong working relationship with the current infrastructure team and other partners to resolve these issues. We would appreciate any funds the town has to go towards these projects. We realize that these maintenance and upkeep projects will need to be completed in phases due to the nature of our service and funding availability. In closing, I want to thank you for your time this evening. We would like to know, should council or town of Inuvik staff have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact either myself or the co-chairs, Nadine and Jasmine. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council? Councilor Miro?
How much is it standing on the loan to the town?
Do we have an exact number?
I don't have an exact number.
Yes,
Do you know?
Councilor Miro, it's approximately $110,000 and it will come due in fall of this year, or it'll be paid for in fall of this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from council? Councilor Gowans?
For some of the issues you mentioned, do you have the reports, the environmental health reports? Do you follow those to the town?
Thank you. Anything further? No, Councilor Miro?
So you were indicating you wanted to pay less rent, am I hearing you right?
When the loan is paid off, we would like to discuss renegotiating. We understand that there's some maintenance and upkeep to the building. The town staff regularly checks the boilers daily. They started doing that after there was an issue with the boilers on a holiday. And we thought it was in everybody's best interest to have a designated boiler checker. So they do that. So we realize there's a cost to maintaining the building and you know, helping with that cost through rent is, I think, I think a good solution. But we're hoping to bring it down and come up with a number that covers covers those costs and maybe puts aside a bit for maintenance, but isn't as high as what it is now.
What is your current rent?
$10,000 a month.
And what are your current costs?
The current costs,
So if you took what, and maybe I put it differently, so if you took what you're bringing in, as your tuition fees, is that giving you enough to actually pay the rent and operate your programs? Or are you in deficit?
we're in a deficit. Like I said, we went into our contingency funds this year, so we had some money put away. So some of you may remember back in 14, 15, the ceiling fell and caused the building to flood. And at that point in time, I said, I don't want to go through this again, worrying every day if we're going to be able to keep the doors open, because we had to pay a lot of money up front with that issue, and we didn't have a contingency fund. So we were able to, we had some GTC money from when we built the building, from when children first built the building. We got some GST money back. It's been a very long day, I apologize. We got some GST money back, and so we set that aside for when things might have gone sideways. And so we tapped into most of that money this fiscal year.
So what's your break even point? So with the money you bring in and grants and whatnot, and then rent paying out, where is the spot that you know you're gonna survive?
So what's the amount of revenue you need?
Yes.
So it's just, so our expenses this year were just under $3 million. It was 275, I think.
Counselor Gowans?
Can you tell me what some of those major expenses are?
Yeah, so staffing is our number one expense, paying for all the staff to run the programs and support them. That's almost, it's just over 70% of our expenses, staffing alone. And our nutrition budget, it is a large cost as well. And that really went up over the last year or two, year and a half, I'd say, as inflation rose. And then you probably noticed it on your own grocery bills or groceries for your homes. It went up quite a bit. Yeah. We used to sit at about 2.5 million, and this year it went up. Yeah. Or over the last year and a half, it's gone up.
Counselor Miro?
So something I'm not clear on, I know we're trying to go to $10 a day childcare across the country, but so parents would only be paying that? And
Yes.
so where is the rest of your money to come from? Is that coming from the government?
So with the GNWT and federal government agreement, their early learning and care agreement, they are trying to reduce the program fees for families
Mhm.
and support the programs with money in that agreement.
And will that keep you at the same level you're at now or take you up or down?
Like I said, I just got the numbers for this next fiscal year, and I haven't had a chance to really look at them. So I don't have a solid answer for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a question on that same path. Just so if we were to look at numbers, let's say pre-COVID or pre the $10 a day idea, is the deficit now being caused by that gap specifically in that, let's say you had $900 coming for a child previous to this, and now you have 600, that $300 gap is directly made by this new rule about the government funded daycare? Is that?
Yeah, so the GNWT federal agreement, they pay the portion that the families aren't paying. Where we got in a bind was we hadn't raised our program fees because we were sitting okay. Like pre-COVID, we were doing okay. During COVID, we made it okay. Coming out of COVID and the inflation started rising, the board of directors started saying we need to relook at this because we're not going to be able to survive. And that was a very accurate prediction. And so there's just a gap in funding as inflation increases, and we're struggling to find a way to fill that gap.
Thank you. That makes things clear for me. Are there any further questions from council? See no hands raised. Thank you very much for the presentation,
Thank you.
and we look forward to the conversations to come. Thank you.
Thanks.
I do realize I forgot to make one acknowledgement, that we do have Mark Fleming on the Zoom call, who will be here for item 9.1. And then also we will have a gentleman come forward for public question period. Abdallah, you can come forward to the microphone, please. Just have to use the speak or talk key. There you go.
I don't know. Just here, my issue is, I'm a taxi driver operating, my own permit. So every year we're supposed to renew our permit. And, I did all the document and everything. And, I'm supposed to approve, camera record check for them. So I have done the camera record check and I didn't receive it yet. So I received an email from, the Bible. She asked me like, I'm not going to be allowed to work if I didn't give it to her till to the 29th of this month. And I went to the RCMP back. They said they didn't receive it yet. And I've been doing that for 15 years. I used to get it like on one day, but this time they said I have to do screen or something like that. So I went today to the RCMP. They write me a letter that's they're saying it's might gonna take longer. And I just say, I wanna be like, I don't wanna lose my job or lose my permit. And just bring this here to the counselor, and it's happened to 522 2 years ago, and he came here and they allowed him to keep driving till he gets a term reflected.
So I'm glad you came tonight to make council aware. I'm sure that if it is something where we have to make a decision on it, that our municipal enforcement will bring it to the table for us to speak on or to vote on. And I would advise, I know you have the letter from the RCMP, that you make sure that municipal enforcement receives that letter as well, so that they can add it to their file, but also use it as, part of the information that they're going to give us if it does need to come to us. Just one point of clarification, are you driving right now and you're okay until the end of the month? And then on the 29th is the last day kind of thing?
Yeah, and I talked to the bylaw before I give her the letter, so I just have a copy from it,
Okay,
and she said she gonna bring it here, yes.
okay, great. So then we'll most likely see it on the next council meeting, which will be in March.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Right, we move on to the minutes. We had the minutes of the February 12th and 14th council meeting. Is there any questions or comments on the minutes? No. On to the minutes of the February 13th naming committee meeting. Happy to see that the meeting happened. I see that Councillor Devlin was there for this meeting. Any questions or comments on the meeting minute? None. Just as a piece of information to council, the full list of road names and the kind of reasoning behind them is available on the website if you wanted to look at that. And if you wanted to have involvement in the naming committee, that's certainly an option. So we can move on to item 7, the action items list. SEO Travis, did you have any highlights or anything you wanted to present?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just have one update that came in by email from one of our engineers at AECOM, Mr. Willett. He advised that the environmental assessments that we were planning to have him scheduled to do this spring on our condemned building that we've been working on He's found from his administration that in order for them to do the environmental assessment, that the town actually has to become the owner of the property first. So we are gonna go back to the drawing board and look at our derelict property bylaw and see if there's anything that we could do through that bylaw to gain access and undertake the environmental assessment. And other than that, that was the only other update I had to the list since we did it on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions on the action items list? None. On to new business, item 8.1, the appointment of the Board of Revision members. So these will be, looks like we've already had folks come forward, Vince Brown, Chris Gargan, Liza Yvonne Rivera, and Councillor Devlin. Any questions or comments on this one? None. Right, on to 8.2, the appointment of an auditor for the 2023 fiscal year. So, I believe that administration reached out to our previous auditor, EPR, to extend the contract by 1 year. While then we'll have the opportunity to look for the new auditor come the summertime. Was there anything else you need to add?
That covers it.
Excellent. Any questions or comments from council? Seeing none. All right. On to 8.3. There's just a misnumber. So the tender award for block 34 and 94 utility construction. This, of course, is the utility new construction up on the Carmichael Reliance Firth area. Tender opening was done on the 21st. I'm not sure anything here, CEO Travis, that needs to be added. Any notes from infrastructure? Anything?
I will just add, Deputy Mayor, that there was, I guess, a lot of interest in the actual tender. We did see a number of different organizations on our engineers list. However, when it came right down to it, they only received one formal official bid. But it was nice to see that there were other organizations across Canada looking for that project. I think one was as far away as Montreal.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from council on this item? No. Great, on to item 9.1, disposal by way of sale, bylaw 2730. This is the bylaw to sell these lands again up in the Carmichael Firth Reliance area to the IRC. Total price of $1.9 million, $7,250. We do have Mark Fleming here on the line on the Zoom call if there are any questions directly to the IRC. And I guess I will first ask Mark, did you have any sort of presentation you wanted to make, or are you just here to answer questions?
Sure, I did have our architects draw something up rather quickly to show you an idea what it would look like. And I do have a quick 3-minute spiel if you want. It's up to council.
That's great, thank you.
Perfect. So this is all going to be tied in. I know we see a lot going on in Inuvik right now. I'm sorry I have the cold that is going around town. But we see a lot going on in Inuvik right now. And I wanted to give you a quick history on what we're doing, what we're planning to do, and why these lots tie so well into it. So we have been working on our deployment of infrastructure and housing funding. For years, we've been of the idea that if we bring enough people to Inuvik, things would start to build up, and they haven't really. I think we've all seen that, and we want to change that. We want to change that trajectory. Since I've started with IRC, we're 5 times the employees. We've gone up by 5 times, and we're not stopping yet. We have another 140 open positions to fill right now in our head office, and we're getting about 1 or 2 applications for those jobs. From locals, which is making it a bit tough. So what we've done is we've taken a look at the whole ecosystem. We've taken a look at M18, which we're working on, we know that if we don't bring down the cost of fuel, we're not going to make any economic feasibility in this region. We have to make it so that businesses can survive in the region. The only way we do that is by reducing that cost of fuel and electricity. You'll see the temperature cables at the old Eskimo. You know something's going on there. The 17-unit apartment building, which will be done, I promise, at some point. The purchase and the plans for the Mackenzie Hotel, and what we've got some exciting plans there. The Northern Images building and the plans there. Even better connections in flights, which we're working on right now to provide people more opportunities to get directly out to Calgary and Edmonton and not have to go through Yellowknife where you get stuck for 6 hours. So we're really working on trying to improve that. What we want to be able to do is quickly deploy this fund, and we really are. I promise you, we're having trouble finding workers, as everyone is right now. So we've been looking at different options for that. We also wanted to get these drafted out fast. So we've been looking at both our private lands for development and the town lands along with our other communities. I'm going to throw this up on the screen if it lets me. Yeah, it will. We want to be able to leverage as much as possible. And to give you an idea on the number of houses we're looking to build, in the Inuvik area, it could be north of 100 individual homes, along with likely another, including the ones we built so far, another 100 units in terms of multifamily residential. Whether those end up on town lands or whether they end up in our private lands will depend on what price we can get for lots and how much is available. But this is our first iteration. I apologize, we only had a week to get this done, so it's a bit disjointed, but at least you've got some idea of what we're looking at putting up there. You'll notice that a lot of these look like modular. They're not trailers. They are going to be mostly modular homes. That's because we need people in homes now. We need the opportunity to be able to attract and retain talent now. There's going to be a mix of stick-built and modular, but we're looking at focusing on these with a focus of that for the neighborhood right now, along with the homes that we've already built. We want to create community, so we're looking at a HAP type program. So for those of you that remember, our view is that if you can pay the bills, we're going to look to see if you can pay the bills on these homes for 10 years, you will get the home outright. We feel that home ownership is important to being part of the community. Home owners take more pride in their community, they stay longer and become part of this community. So it's very important for us we're not buying these to lease them or make money off of these. That's not happening at all. In fact, all of our most recent developments, including our 17-unit apartment building, the Mackenzie Hotel, they all fall under one of our charities, where all of the money that comes from it is used to either provide affordable homes or provide affordable programs in the communities. Dollar for dollar, every dollar that goes in goes out to some sort of cause. That's the same one that will be building these homes. And again, our plan is to turn most of these over for free to homeowners who are able to pay the bills for 10 years. We really think this is important for Inuvik to build that long-term sustainability. So that is my quick spiel. I'm ready for any questions you may throw at me.
Thank you for the quick spiel, and for a little bit of a visual as well. Always appreciate it. Any questions from council? Councillor Devlin.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming, for your presentation. I'm just wondering about timelines. Right now, we've already closed the deal with 24, the Inuvik outlet, and this would be another 25 with 49. So we're just wondering, what do you see the timeline on finishing those 49 units? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Devlin. Thank you, Council. So we are looking at starting groundworks ideally in the next few months. We are starting on our engineering right now, and we are finalizing the home designs for each of the lots. We are deciding what kind of foundation to look at. There has been a bounce back and forth between geodetic foundations and piles. As you know, with the passing of Vince, it's tougher to get piles done right now. So we're looking at what can deploy those quickest. I would hope that we will start to see construction in the next 6 to 12 months, although we're hoping, what we're told by the team that we're looking at for building these is that we could put one up as quick as about 4 days, one every 4 days. And they would start construction, the prefab in the south. It's just really getting the lots. That's why we like the geodetic, because we think we can get the homes up even sooner as opposed to waiting for the lots to settle.
Councillor Devlin?
I also noticed on your presentation that you did leave at least one lot for a playground or a park or playground. If that's built, would that be built by the Inuvik, and then who would maintain it? Would that become a municipal park that you would hand off to the town to maintain, or would you maintain it going forward? And then also there are some liability issues around parks and playgrounds as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. That's a very good question and top of mind. Up until last Friday, we were planning to put a park in, and we still are. And we would maintain it as well. The issue we have is exactly what you mentioned. It's liability, and it is the extreme requirements of putting a playground in, as you know full well, Council. We are going to do everything possible we can to create green space. We don't want to just crowd homes in there. We want to create spaces for those communities to be able to prosper. So if possible, we will be putting that park in. We do have the funds set aside to do that.
Quick follow-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up. Right now, we average about a park or playground for every 50 homes in Inuvik. So we'd certainly like to see us keep those service levels so we don't wind up overworking our other playgrounds as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just one moment. Councillor Wood, or sorry, Mayor Wood, just doesn't seem to have sound. So, Clarence, if you want to just text me your question, that I think would work. But in the meantime, does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Councillor Gallus?
So thank you for the presentation, Mr. Fleming. You'd mentioned, your timeline for home ownership. Do you have, is open to all residents of Inuvik? I understand there's a need for beneficiaries with respect to the Inuvik, which is understandable. Have you thought about the application process and, any breakdown of numbers?
Yeah, it's a tough one. So the funding we've received requires it go directly to beneficiaries. However, we do feel that throwing these homes on the market is going to open a number of other homes at reasonable prices for other people to participate. We don't have any guidelines set as of yet, just because of the timelines that are required. But the funding from the federal government was specifically to provide Inuit homes. So that'll probably guide. We do think a lot of families are blended though, and we're going to see a lot of pickup in the region.
Great, thank you. Any further questions? No hands raised. Councillor Wood, or Mayor, oh my gosh, Mayor Wood does not have a question after all. So if there's nothing further, I'll say thank you, Mr. Fleming. We will have a vote on Wednesday night. You're welcome to join us again if you like. We will let you go now.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
On to item 9.2, may I dispose of land by way of sale, bylaw 2731. This is for property on Lagoon. Is there any details we need to know?
I did reach out to our realtor at Remax, deputy mayor, and inquired as to what the plans might be for that particular lot, and we did get a very simple response back that it might be to be kept or put something on it slowly. So I very kindly wrote back and said that the purchaser would be required to take out a development permit, and our development permits are a process that have to be done in a timely manner. But that's all I have at this point.
Okay. Any questions on this item? None. Thank you. So we can move on to our department head reports. Our first report will be from Director Krug, Parks, Rec, and Leisure. And he has a PowerPoint presentation as well. Director Krug, the mic is yours.
I'll just wait for a moment.
Hello. Hi, Clarence.
Hi again. I heard you can hear me on Zoom, so I thought I'd dial in and get a chance to speak where I have to.
Okay. So you'll mute yourself now, though?
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next slide, please. I'm just gonna provide a qualitative update this week, for my council report. So, we hosted the, annual, Gwitching Cup, minor hockey tournament, and from what I've been hearing, it has been, this year was the largest, participation for, the minor hockey tournament. So that's a big bonus. Lots of kids, lots of hockey, so that was great. Just this past weekend, we hosted the 35th annual IRC Cup, which was another giant success. Kudos to my staff, volunteers, organizers, sponsors, and everyone else that contributed to making that happen. I'd also like to extend a appreciation for the hardworking folks at Northwind Industries for their quick snow removal to make the parking lot bigger for the increased number of people that were there to watch the hockey game. So, thank you. We've hired a number of staff. We've hired a recreation coordinator, so that's gonna take a large chunk of my duties off my desk to give me time to collaborate and look at bigger picture things. So I'm looking forward to Trace starting March 18th. We've also hired 3 part-time front desk staff to assist with administration and to provide them with part-time jobs. So, and we've also hired a assistant librarian, so I'm almost fully staffed. My comment there at the bottom is just other various daily tasks, whether it's snow removal, shoveling, sanding, cleaning, banking, all kinds of other various type things. What's coming up is I'm working on a scent-free policy for the Midnight Sun Complex, primarily for the fitness center on recommendation from Councillor Alexis. So you should be seeing that very soon. I'm also working on a helmet policy for public skating, which I'm looking to implement next year. That will be mandatory for all public skating sessions and kids and anyone under 18 to wear a helmet. So there are some details looking at that, at access to helmets and how I'm going to get them and how they can be cleaned and so on and so forth. Some staff training, just forecasting to get some plans for summer programs. Looking at purchasing some environmental garbage cans for the facility so that it will help people separate their garbage, whether it's pizza boxes, pop cans, or other just miscellaneous trash. So hopefully we'll have that going. I'm also looking at a fitness center life cycle plan for equipment and just to identify needs going forward. So that way we're on top of aging equipment. And just working on getting some financial reports done from various funding partners, primarily the GNWT and MACA.
Any questions from council?
Good job.
Councillor Devlin.
Thanks, Director Krug. Just question about the scent-free policy, about sort of enforcement of it. I assume it's kind of difficult at times. Scent-free is one of the things where I understand the reasoning behind it, allergies, asthma, et cetera. But it's something that also, especially in the gym, many people use to cover up their own body odors. So, scent-free, would that be body odor as well? I'm just trying to get to the sort of, there's a bit of a catch-22 here with the entire concept, so, thank you.
The focus of the policy is going to be primarily on over aromatic perfumes, aerosols, and other camouflage agents, as you could call them, to cover people's odor. But there will be signage and communication put out to encourage people to participate, and hopefully the more people that participate, the less problems we'll have.
Thank you. I did hear a all good from Councillor Miro there, or a good job, so thank you. And Councillor Whitman.
After you're being proactive about the helmets and kids, that's a big thing lately. Is there any programs you're looking into so we can actually apply to like any kind of funding to get helmets for public skating for the young kids that can't afford it? it's a big thing to be proactive these days, especially with the young kids. I've heard of 2 kids being very hurt this year, so. And not at this other places.
Thank you. Yeah, once I wrap up my MACA Community Sport and Rec Participation Funding, which is an annual contribution agreement of 43,000, I'm going to look at cost analysis for purchasing helmets and roll that into the proposal and submit that this year in hopes that just like our skates, we'll have lender skates and lender helmets. It's just the turnover of the helmets and how we're going to keep them clean and what kind of other details it's going to require.
Anything further from council? No raised hands. Thank you very much, Director Krug.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll ask Fire Chief Larman to come forward for his presentation. Prepare yourselves. It will be a whirlwind of words said very quickly.
Hello. Apologies if I'm a bit tired today. We had a structure fire, vehicle fire last night, 20 in the morning, which kept us very hands-on throughout the day as well. So Jen's got my report up. But everybody's good. All the occupants escaped safely. There's limited vehicles right now, limited damage to the house itself, but they're all good, which is the most important thing. All right. Back to this one. 56. So that's years as a firefighter and lifetime honorary member. Ben Sharp, he passed away last week. We laid him to rest. The Inuvik Protective Services Department assisted with an escort for his return procession for one last visit to the fire hall and provided an honor guard and transportation for his service as well. Vince and other pioneer Inuvik firefighters were instrumental in helping the IFD become the professional service provider it is today. Rest easy, Vince. 21 plus 2. Those are the deficiencies addressed at the Midnight Sunset. With final construction processes, those were plus 2, passed over to our partners in Town of Inuvik Infrastructure. This multi-departmental initiative saw staff from 3 different Town of Inuvik departments provide expertise, legacy advice, and labor in improving fire and life safety in a critical town facility. This initiative will provide a more streamlined process for town staff as well as users of the facility, saving valuable time as well as improving safety. 0, that is the maintenance indicator lights on IFD apparatus. That's probably just temporary situation, but all outstanding vehicle maintenance issues have been resolved or at least have a solution identified in terms of parts coming in. Through partnerships with local contractors such as Northwind Cat, Hawk Supply, Home Hardware, and subject matter experts with Fort Garry Fire Trucks and Rocky Mountain Phoenix, the IFD is improving preventative maintenance practices and procedures. This collaborative approach to preventative maintenance will save tax dollars and improve reliability while providing patronage to local businesses and contractors. 130, that's the number of hydrant inspections that we have scheduled in partnership with utility staff, municipal enforcement, and others within the municipality. The significant snowfall this year has identified access challenges with hydrants and pathways. This endeavor will provide clear communication to residents, but their responsibilities, their obligations, and the system our town relies on for the supply of water. Increasing visibility and reliability is the goal of this project, and we're proud to work with our colleagues in other TOI departments to provide training, advice, and also to learn from their knowledge and expertise. And 1, that is one new expected addition to the IFD family. A huge congratulations to Acting Lieutenant Louise Vanderpost and firefighter Noel Cockney for their upcoming contribution to our junior firefighter program. In terms of our calls for service, I've got everything up there. So we've upped our, especially this week, or this month, I should say, our taxi inspections. We've been conducting them throughout the week. Municipal enforcement officers have been having taxis in on a regular basis, just to make sure they're operating safely and are up to date with the registration and inspections. They performed a significant number of vehicle patrols, a lot of those were to the MSC throughout the various hockey tournaments, just particularly around parking. So we're working with Steve and Scott and his staff just to improve visibility of signage and access ways and things like that at the rec center as well. And for the new fire department, we've had fewer technical alarm faults this year or this month. We've had a few nuisance alarms that have been down, but through education and a little bit of enforcement on the invoicing side, we've been able to reduce those and really get some of our commercial property owners to take this seriously. We assisted the RCMP in a operation that they held the other week when we provided hazmat assistance to get an OC spray from an apartment building in town. Which was a really good thing to be able to work with the RCMP on. We're looking at further cross-training opportunities with RCMP and AMS and Staff Sergeant Oben, myself, and the new supervisor AMS Kate will be sitting down as an emergency services working group just to discuss common problems and other issues that we faced in Inuvik, just to get something a little bit more established amongst the leaders of the service providers in town. So we move on to my qualitative update. I've got a few photos here. So on the left is from our training night. We were doing rescues from height, so off of ladders. So we're using an unconscious victim. We did a number of different things to lead up to this, just to improve ladder confidence and abilities. The center photo is from training that we provided to the Utilidor staff. They haven't received much training on the use of SCBA, so basically a respiratory protection plan. So we worked with them to implement that, including training on equipment that they need to use to keep themselves safe. This is over at the water treatment plant where they deal with chlorine gas. Following their hands-on training that we provided, we also invited them to our Wednesday training session. We conducted a tabletop exercise exploring the possibility of a hazmat incident at the water treatment plant. So it was a pretty good thing to go through with them, for us all to work together and just really plan out what we would do in the unlikely event of a gas release there. And on the right, that's from this past Wednesday. We were up till 11 or 11:30 or so, exploring the fire hydrants and determining what the access is like. In this particular photo, it's up at the trailer park, Balsam Trailer Park Court. The utilidors were underground, well under the snow at least. So we had some issues in terms of identifying those with the major snowfall. To work immediately the next day with Utilidor staff just to get that leak that we identified repaired, as well as access ways improved and visibility improved on it. So this is another thing where we can easily work with them just because we've developed these partnerships and programs and training collaboration. So upcoming and current events and initiatives, we're doing a lottery education campaign. That's going to be in conjunction with Charlotte and her team. We're putting out a bunch of glossy advertisements, just educating people on the lottery processes, the application processes, and ways that they can fundraise, and then can also provide additional revenue to the town. We're going to be working on more on our online adoption program. You may have seen more advertising around the critters that we've provided a home to at our pound. That's along the same lines, we're hoping to move to that on a more permanent basis as well. Further to that, we're conducting pound renovations right now. So we're working with one of the contractor in town just to improve drainage, lighting, electricity, and other things in there as well. And then as well as our technology upgrades. So we've been working diligently with Stephen and his team through IT to improve technology on the town side. The fire side. We have an wireless access point, secured wireless internet over there. We've received our Starlink system that we're going to be implementing as well. And we just got everybody up and running on new communications equipment and laptops. So a lot of stuff that we're going to be using in any emergency operations for the EMO department as well. That we should happen this summer. And then we have a lot of NFPA training scheduled as well. Right into that, John and I started the fire inspector course. We're going on it right after this meeting, actually. The first session on it, and then we have some embankment rescue scheduled for the fall. We have more first aid and emergency medical responder courses in the spring, or sort of the fall, I should say, as well as our in-house 10-1 program, which is the professional firefighter qualification program. We have 5 new recruits for that. Some great folks that we're going to get through and turn them into firefighters. So we're really, really excited to offer that. Just as the continuing training programs that we do offer. So that is all I have. If council has any questions, I'd be glad to discuss.
Thank you, Director Larman, Fire Chief Larman. Any questions from councilor?
Good job.
You're a good job. And I see no hands, so thank you very much for the presentation. Next up, we'll be the Director Vivian.
Good evening. So I'm going to start with different events that we have been providing. So we started movies back in December, hoping that we'd get more attendance and people engaged. It's not the case because of, I think, platforms all around, and it's very hard to offer some great movies. But we found out that we have a lot of attendance when we are running events, like for example, the Sunrise Festival, which we had like 32 people in the room. So we decided to only run movie nights during big events. We should have thought about it before doing maybe the IRC Cup to have the kids maybe in the room or something like that. So that's what we are going towards to, having movie during events and running one movie per week during the summer. Regarding the multicultural night, we didn't get that much of engagement from the community. We only had 3 people answering our call outs. And we decided it was preferable to cancel the multicultural night. And also we heard some community members were actually gonna do their own multicultural afternoon. And I think it's better for the community that actually community members are doing that event, especially this one. So we are offering our help for any way they need to, we'll be here for them. And also yesterday we had our tourism stakeholder meeting, and we were contacted by the GNAP, Great Northern Art Festival Society. They might be interested in actually having a partnership with the town to work onto something, a multicultural night during the festival. So we might have some sort of a multicultural event. But on the other side, since we're canceling that, the mayor really wanted an event for the community, so we're working on providing the community with a free community feast event. We were told maybe what was it? What was it, Ethan? Sorry.
Which sort of event?
Yeah, during the summer.
Oh, to do bring back either Delta Days or
Delta Days.
why that stopped.
Something like that. But again, that's in process. We also, thanks. We also helped to organize the Indigenous Women Entrepreneur Workshop in collaboration with NWT Métis Dene Development Fund. And we saw that there was a lot of interest in that workshop. That brings me to really see there is a big potential for Inuvik and especially entrepreneurs. So I'm gonna work with ITI to really get Inuvik to host workshops and to create an environment favorable for entrepreneurs. We have the Vancouver Outdoor Show coming up. We're flying out on Thursday with Ethan. We will present the town at our booth with Bambi Amos, who is a crafter and artist from the town. We will also present the town during a presentation on the Best of Canada stage on Sunday. A little PowerPoint, and we were also invited by ITI to present the town at the Catalina University in their tourism program. So hopefully we'll get more people to come and maybe work here. We're also working on the Tourism Week, which is from April 15 to the 19th. We're working on a little scavenger hunt with little tokens. Will be hidden in different places in town, but also outside of town, just to get people discover the town, rediscover the town and its surroundings, and tokens will be equal to prizes. And finally, the Arctic Development Expo, we're still working on invitations. We had some calls from different people, company, organizations regarding sponsorship, being a speaker as well, attendance. So it's coming up, but I don't have any concrete numbers for now or names. And then next slide, please. Oh, it's so small. I should have put it bigger. So first, finally, we're wrapping up the Inuvik guide. March 15 is the deadline to have it out and ready in May. And we have 25 participants, people who signed up the form, compared to 30 last year. And we're still working to get more, so hopefully we'll be in. So yeah, we're good on that. Regarding the Arctic market, we established a yearly calendar. So people can actually see all the way to December, when are the dates, and if we have to add more dates, we'll do it, but that's the set dates. It's good for, especially food vendors that have to apply for a food permit every single time they're, applying for, the market. Now they can just, apply for one with all the dates. And also we had a first stakeholder meeting with the Arctic market vendors, to just brainstorm what was done before and what they would like to see, etc. And, to just smooth the process, especially on our side. The vendors now have access to pay online their tables and yearly passes as well, so it makes it way easier for us and them. Last market, for example, we had 10 vendors and we only had to collect cash from 2 of them. So it makes it very, very easy on us. We also invested on different branding materials like flags and table runners with the branding of the Arctic market to make it more like a community image and bring more people. As well as tablecloth for some vendors that do not have a nice table for presenting their products. Finally, marketing side, I'm still in the process of recruiting a marketing coordinator. So the event coordinator, Ethan, and myself have been working on communication for all the departments and the town, as well as we're trying to reorganize and have a clear branding for the town. So we've been working on, for example, town forms with the logo. I'm working on signatures right now. All of that. So that's, and the big project would be to actually, I started already, but it's big. Making a user-friendly website. So that's a big one. And finally, I have a suggestion to council. I have been approached by a Indigenous organization regarding a reconciliation action plan. So I am suggesting to council to consider this request as part of the tripartite leadership table from the council priorities chart, and happy to help in any way to facilitate that that work. And I'm happy to set up a meeting or anything like that if council wishes.
Is that the end?
Mhm.
Okay. Can you send the letter or what it, however you received it to Jen now or to Michael or sorry, to Travis to send out to council?
Regarding the reconciliation. So it was part of discussions.
Okay,
I don't have in writing.
okay. Like, even could you put what the suggestion or idea might be into an email so that council could review it?
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions from council? Oh, Councilor Devlin.
I know we had talked, yesterday with Travis about adding in a special sort of international utilidor section to the Arctic Development Expo. So I'm wondering if there's been any movement on that or any follow-up specific to utilidors. And I know we had spoken about inviting public works folks from Sweden and other parts of the world as well. So I'm just thinking we're a few months out now. So just want to see if there's nothing on it. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, okay.
I've been contacting some people in Norway and Sweden. So far, nothing. I also had some, how do you say this? Scientists, researchers from Canada again, I had some ideas regarding, the utilidor system. And, but again, I have no concrete answer from anybody to come as a speaker or attend.
SEO Travis and then, Council Merrill.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I'll just add to the comments from Director Valier that we did also reach out to an engineer that was interested in doing a presentation about different designs for the utilidor, and we haven't heard back from that individual either.
Council Merrill.
Could we maybe change that wording to water and waste systems in the Arctic, because the term utilidor is very unique. And other places in the world may not use that, so they may have the same system or may even have different systems where they bring water into the municipality and take waste out in a different format, which would be really interesting to look at. Beyond pump in and pump out.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Council Merrill. Anything further? Seeing none. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next item is the capital projects report, which is provided in your package. I think that if there are any questions on this report, we will ask the individual director or SAO Travis to answer questions. Were there any questions on the capital report? None. All right. On to 10.5. I would like to invite Director Palaya and our new Director of Infrastructure, Daniel Docunio, to come forward and present their report. Welcome to the team, Daniel. She already is.
I thought he was taking over as mayor.
Evening, councilors. So we're just gonna give a brief update on the, well, not all of them. We have a list of 27 capital projects going on. And from what I hear, this is a busy year. So we're just gonna go through a couple of them that have had movements in the last little while that we have updates on. I'm just gonna try and zoom in. Okay. So just like was mentioned earlier, the block 34, 94 new utility construction. We've had the tender close and the bid was received for about 7.4, and an RCD was issued on February 26th to council for approval.
What's an RCD?
Request for council decision.
No acronyms, okay? I beg of you.
Sure.
I'll zap him every time he doesn't
No, he's
actually.
new and he's nice, so no, we won't harm him.
Oh, no, gee.
We're gonna reward him when he doesn't use one, okay?
The next one is the utility replacement. So there's current conversation going on about the capacity to actually complete this work in light of the current large utility project we have for the new development. So a request for decision. A request for decision will be forthcoming in the next council meeting cycle to decide if we could potentially move the funds around to do other smaller projects. Because right now, with the big projects going on with the new development, we may not have the contractor may not have the capacity to do that and continue with the utility project that for the replacement of the old ones. Sure.
So as Daniel said, it's more of a capacity in terms of how long the new utilidor is going to be. So in discussion with the engineer, because the engineer was actually the one who brought it to our attention that this might be a capacity issue. He could put the utilidor replacement out to tender, but he's not sure how many people would be bidding on that, just given it's actually a small portion of the utilidor this year, so it's not he's not sure how much interest we are going to get. However, we did talk that there are a couple of other projects, particularly coming up, that the way that the utilidor is going to be going across Duck Lake, if we could take some of that funds and put it to next year, it could be a longer run. One of the questions that we did ask him is, how critical is that replacement? Yes, it is critical, particularly as it's going up towards the reservoir. And again, it's more as a redundancy in the event that there is an earthquake or something like that, because it is an older utilidor that's going up that way. This was part of a longer term plan to move that up there. He said it is not mission critical to do that this year. And in fact, if we can take some of that funds, put it into next year, he could make it a longer run up to a junction house, rather than just across Duck Lake, which is what it's going to be. The reason why we wanted to bring it to your attention now is there are some other projects that are critical. So for instance, some of the funding right now that we've got for the, and Daniel will speak to it, the foundation of the MSC and the assessment, that might bring to light some more costs that we haven't anticipated. So as a contingency that way. The other thing is the reservoir, we have 2 reservoirs up there right now. The original reservoir is almost, it's at least 50 years old. There's potential that there is some leaking happening there. And he has recommended that we replace the liner in that. And it is an old liner to begin with. Having said that, not only to maintain the life of that reservoir, but also if there is leaking, he's quite concerned that the foundation of the reservoir itself might be starting to be affected by water, warm water in particular. So it's something that he says is actually more critical than replacing that utilidor. It certainly wouldn't cost the $3 million to replace like that utilidor is. And a couple of other projects that we're going to be bringing up that, again, smaller replacements of key areas in town where there is consistent issues with the old utilidor that might just be a shorter run that we could actually access and replace. So this is something for consideration. It is going to be going, once we have a better idea about some of the other projects, we will be putting it forward for your decision and your direction. It does have to happen sooner than later, so it'll be at the next council meeting that we are going to be bringing it up to you. Because if you want to proceed going across Duck Lake, then we have to get that tender out very shortly. So by the next council meeting, we'll have a better idea for you. We just wanted to give you a heads up now.
Another one of those projects that we're thinking we could probably apportion the funds to is the water treatment plant piping. So the welds, there are a couple of issues with a bunch of the welds at the water treatment plant, and they are leaking. And so he's thinking if we move some of those funds, we can potentially get that done this year as well. The SCADA project that has been pretty much completed, substantially complete. There's just a couple deficiencies that needs to be fixed by the contractor, and that will be turned done. The MSC fire inspection requirements, just like Chief Lyman spoke about, we're working together on getting the MSC up to snuff in terms of the codes, and a couple of those has been sent off to our department to try to get done. Those include enlarging the width of the ice rink doors, for instance, the door to the ice rink, the calling ring, and a couple of items like that, so that we can have that building up to code. Next one is the Children's First Roof and Flooring Project. So we're fortunate enough to have them come in this afternoon to present. So we did meet with them earlier. We met with them last week, and we went through all of those deficiencies. And like she said, the plan we have in place now is to get an engineering team, structural engineer, and an architect to come in and actually tell us why the floor keeps failing, and then give us a recommendation as to what the solution should be. And with her help trying to get funding, hopefully we'll be able to get that going. and we can have remediation done to all of those issues they have. The MSC Foundation, so I think this is the big one. The foundation of that building, I think it's been decided that we're gonna go with AECOM to put together a report. So they're gonna be coming in, having an inspection done, and generating reports telling us what the issue is, where's that building at, how long can we actually use the building for, and what needs to be done to get that building fixed. So there's a whole bunch of issues. I think I had a meeting with the director of recreation and parks last week, and he showed me the doors all looking slanted, the building is looking slanted in some areas. And currently we do have an issue with the rink side, the ice rink side, where we're currently running through brine. And I guess an unexpected amount. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so if you're, one thing that we are trying to do with the foundation assessment, we found historically over the years that it was always two separate buildings. And it was the pool that was viewed, it was the foundation on the rink side that was viewed, it was different architects and different people involved and engineers involved. So what we are trying to do with that structural assessment is the entire envelope of that building, rather than viewing it that way. From that, we're going to be doing, and we have asked very specifically, is if there is anything critical in terms of life safety or the integrity of the building that we need a red flag, then they will advise us right away, and we will be informed if there's any remediation or any work that needs to be done immediately. I think it would be prudent to do it that way. The other consideration that they are going to be doing, and Daniel talked about the life of the building, is to give us an idea about where we're at with the life of the building. I think we realize it's an older building, it's aging, and it's on an unstable foundation to begin with. So there's some considerations that we will have to have in, I think, the very near future to start looking at funding and grants to look at that. Now, in light of that reality, when they're doing the geotech, they're also going to see the rest of that property and what the rest looks like, if there's a way that we can transition from the use of the building, start a new build somewhere else, and then carry it over, so we're not interrupting some very valuable services and recreation services for that. So we're talking long-term, and we're just trying to be proactive and looking at all of the realities. Now, speaking of which the rink foundation, if you're aware, it's a pad underneath. It's like an in-floor heating system, but it's an in-ground cooling system. And it's a network of pipes. And the brine that we are talking about is actually the same, coming from the same ice plant as the hockey arena, the curling arena, and the cooling system underneath. So a couple of weeks ago, Scott had identified that they were going through an exorbitant amount of brine. We have tried to, and he has tried to keep it functional, bringing up brine at least 3 to 4 times the amount of brine that we have been using. And based on the operations of the ice plant, it works separately. So if the in-ground cooling system is working, the other two, rink and the curling rink, are shut off, and it's all directed there. And then if the curling rink is working, the other two don't work. And then if the rink is working, the other two don't work. So what he's found is with that, we had shut off, given that it's -30, we had shut off the pad underneath the foundation to see if that we could isolate where there's a potential leak. But what he is finding now is when the rink side kicks in, a whole bunch of brine gets brought back into the system. So we're suspecting that it's actually under the arena side. This is a critical, I think, Steve, we're going to use the analogy. It's an engine light. It was amber. Now it's getting red. We're seeing a little bit of smoke in the engine, and we're at the point now where I think it is critical, and we think it is critical, that we need to shut down the arena side. Because if not, it will continue to leak until we can isolate where the leak is. It will continue to leak warm, brine, salt water into a foundation that's already unstable. Having said that, we do recognize that generally the rink is closed at the end of March. And we know that there are some Arctic Winter Games athletes that need that rink in order to practice to get ready for that. So we are not saying to close it tomorrow. We are giving the public a week and a half. So we're looking at March 7th to shut down rink operations, effective March 7th. So March 7th is the last day, and then we'll be shutting it down. So that will allow the curlers time to practice, the speed skater time to practice. We're giving the hockey groups a week to get one last skate in before, and it is truly critical that this gets shut down. That's our reality right now with the rink. Okay.
Thank you. I just want to add to Director Laya's comments. The cost of the brine is costing the town $7,500 per pallet, I believe. And we're going to that approximately in 1 week. So the cost of the brine is very expensive. And this is why the team has come up with the recommendation to close as conveniently as possible without impacting service levels too much, and get the engineers in there and start working on fixing the problem.
Do we want to hold questions till the end of the presentation, or do you want to take them now?
That's fine.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, that's
Those are
it.
the major
Okay.
projects, yeah. The rest
Go
of
ahead,
them.
Councillor Gowans.
Any updates on the timeline for the red engineer to help us figure out what's going on with the recreation complex?
So we're still figuring the timeline out. So I think the last time we spoke, he'll probably want to come in when the snow is probably melted as well, so he can see for himself the water going into the parking lot and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of the foundation underneath the ice rink side of the building, they are scheduling Simco to come up as soon as we shut down and have a. So those guys will probably be here in another couple of weeks, but the engineer himself for the actual assessment, that's probably going to be a couple of months.
Thank you. Councillor Miro?
So I just want to welcome you, Daniel. Are you here permanently now?
I'm in my 5th year now, so in Inuvik. So.
Yes, he's here for the town permanently.
Oh,
That's my question.
Oh,
Stay,
okay.
right?
We know you around the town.
That's not the point. Are you staying right here?
Right
Okay,
next to me.
That's important.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank
He's
you.
also a firefighter as well, so,
Oh, you have to be a firefighter, yeah, I understand that.
yeah.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Wayman?
So you wanna shut down March 7th? In the winter time, so are you noticing thaw in the rink, or any movement in the rink, or have we had an engineer look for movement or thaw, or where?
They're seeing cracks in some of the areas,
The building, yeah.
yeah, in the building, but the amount of brine that is getting lost in the system right now is pretty significant. And if, you know, again, it's warm salt water that's going into a foundation that's already unstable, so. And
So
there was
shut the
some-
brine off for the coldest months of March and April, but we still have shut the arena down.
yes,
Why don't we just shut the brine off and let it freeze?
so the rink, because it is tied into the.
Same compressor.
Yeah, the same compressor. So if they can't isolate just that or the curling rink or the arena, what the refrigeration technician said was the whole system needs to be shut down, which
So-
means we can't make ice.
So there's no valve to turn off, just to isolate them from each other, to go one system together.
Yeah, and he said, because they have to pressure test everything as well. And by the time that happens, the ice is basically going to be melting. Even if they were able to identify where the leak was, then the amount of time it would take to make ice again, you're looking at 3 weeks early compared to most years, it's the end of March, and
So if we have to rebuild the system, can we put some valves in so we can isolate it?
No,
properly
absolutely.
instead of the
Yeah.
valve show we have?
Yeah, valves as well as pressure gauges as well, so they can get a sense, a better sense of if there is a part of the system, at least they can identify it rather than having to guess like we are right now.
And we do have engineered drawings of the design.
There are some of the original one that was put in 1997. And Simcoe does have drawings of the way that the system was set up.
So we'll be able to isolate it once they find it, and we'll be able to fix it there.
Yes.
Sounds like a major.
Mhm.
Any further questions? None. Thank you both for your presentation. Much appreciated. Next, we'll move to the finance portion of our evening. Is that the right title? Sorry.
It's okay, that's corporate services.
Thank you. Corporate Services, Director ODS. Someday I will find out how. Take it away, Stephen.
Evening, everyone. I think we just move to the next slide because I've spoken to that already. So I just want to concentrate on the qualitative updates that we have. The operating budget is still being updated. A number of reasons. We have the AR utilities and the lands, monthly recs still at various stages of completion. And we have the bank reconciliation still outstanding. And we have some maize software issues that are being resolved as we move on. Sometimes we have issues with the accounting software not working as we intend for it to work, and then we have to keep calling the support that we have. And well, the good news is that Grant is also around to help to assist us to get up to speed. There are some information that because we are quite new. I mean, there's some information that has helped us identify that are relevant to being able to fast track what we are currently doing, and that has helped. Next slide. For the first issue, the new meter issue is still very much still on the card, but we have just one. We've had one quote and presentation from one person, but we have two other people who are interested, but they haven't come up with their quotes and presentations yet. So that's still the last meeting I had with let me just say the lead vendor. It's like implementing it will take 24 weeks. So we still have to make do with what we have right now. The only snag we have is that the staff who was operating this has given us 2 weeks notice of resignation. She's leaving us another 1 week. So we have put out a posting right now for a replacement, and the front desk staff is interested in helping out when the current staff leaves. So she's currently on that kind of job shadowing her to understand how it's done. So we don't have a lot of backlog when she leaves. And the posting is already out, so we are looking at being able to weather the storm along that line for AR. The finance officer has resumed. The last report I said we're expecting him to resume. Now he has resumed, and with the HR manager leaving, he's having to do AP, HR, payroll, and that's not helping our focus on the year-end financials that we need to really focus on. But we are working through that, working around the clock. and seeing, trying to just put in more hours to be sure that we will meet some of our deadlines. Also, we have our previous auditors. We've initially we put out a request for proposal for a new auditor, but because of the timelines we have, we've had to now ask the previous auditors to continue. And that's going to help us, since they're already aware, they already know our system. And most of us operating it right now are new. We don't have some history which they can assist with. And another good news is that the T4s are ready. And we'll be distributing the T4 before the end of the month. So that's most of what I have.
Thank you very much. Were there any questions from council? Councillor Gowan.
So in regards to the water bills, and trying to reconcile water bills and maybe an error, is that being done? Or are you waiting for the new water meters to come in and then kind of reconcile based on the new water meter readings?
That's being done. It's the way it works is that when there's no reading, we try to estimate based on the last 4 to 5 readings. Just take an average, not always very precise, but at least to have something go out. That is still what we are doing. We still have some houses not being read, by the current system. So, but we just take an average of, this house has paid 200 in the past 4 or 5 months. We try to just estimate based on that. That's the best we can achieve right now, unless we have one reading that's accurate for all the houses, and then we use that as a basis going forward, because every reading compares current reading with the last month's reading. We haven't yet come up with how to really achieve that.
Thank you. Any other questions from council at this time? Seeing none, thank you very much for the presentation. That completes our department head reports. The next item on the list is this, Councillor Wayman.
Sorry and all the confusion of our arena being shut down. I was wondering about the Duck Lake utility, because the last 2 councils, the utility was an issue for the hospital. I thought that was a priority. That was the utility goes to the hospital, and there was a priority on repairing the utilities. Is that still part of the priority, or?
It is still part of the priority. I will double check and confirm with the engineer, and I asked him specifically if we hold off the utilidor replacement across Duck Lake this year, is it a critical, like, do we need to have it done? And he says, no. He says the reservoir.
I'm just concerned about one of our major infrastructures in the community, and it's been a priority for many years. I just want to know how much longer we're going to hold back.
So it is.
If it's going to be done sooner than later.
So in discussion with him, so right now it's a short line that from Lauron Apartments to just behind Boot Lake Apartments. So it's literally just across the road. And he says if we can make it a longer replacement, we can actually next year almost double up to have it go farther up. So we're playing catch up next year.
Okay, so where's the problem with the hospital? What was that a priority of?
So I will confirm with him what
It's been a priority for 2 councils now.
I think the line going up to the reservoir was always a top priority, and then the hospital as well, because of the amount of water that comes off the hospital. But I think they also mitigated that a little bit by doing timed flushes of the hospital system during non-peak hours, because so that the system isn't seeing that overwhelm. Now that's just memories in my brain, so I'll of course let Director Pillai check with the engineer.
When we put that forward as a recommendation for your decision next council, I will ask him to specifically speak to your concern about where the priority is and that type of thing.
Well, supplies a priority, so that would be coming from the tanks, obviously, but also our hospital's a priority.
Right.
That's what I just recalled, so if you could update us or tell us.
Yep, I
where it
will,
stands.
I will have him pros and cons of each and where the limits are, but he did say that reservoir is definitely a critical priority.
Thank you. Any other questions from council from the reports? Seeing none, going on then to council concerns this evening. Are there any items under this number 12? No hands raised. We do have a camera this evening, so I will look for a motion to vote in camera, moved by Councilor Miro. Your seconder, please, Councilor Alexis. All in favor? So moved, thank you. Now we are in camera, we'll just